Good morning. Today we are going to work on section P7, factoring special cases. I'm going to break this section up into two parts. So today we're going to work on the first part. And before we dive into our first set of special cases, I want you to factor the first 6 questions. Okay? I'll be back in about 5 seconds. Go ahead, factor these first 6 questions, and I'll be going over them. Okay? So go ahead, pause the video, and I'll be back. Alright. So, question number 1. X squared plus 6x plus 9. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 9 and add to equal 6. That's going to be 3 and 3. Number 2, x squared plus 10x plus 25. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 25 and add to equal 10. That's going to be 5 and 5. Number 3, x squared plus 20x plus 100. Looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 100 and add to equal 20. 10 and 10. Okay, number 4, x squared minus 2x plus 1. Two numbers that multiply to equal 1 and add to equal negative 2. That's negative 1 and negative 1. Number 5, x squared minus 4x plus 4. Two numbers that multiply to equal 4 and add to equal negative 4. Negative 2 and negative 2. Lastly, x squared minus 14x plus 49. Two numbers that multiply to equal 49 and add to equal negative 14. Negative 7. Negative 7. Okay. So hopefully you got these answers and you noticed something similar amongst each of these answers. Hopefully what you notice is the factors repeat themselves. X plus 3 times x plus 3, x plus 5 times x plus 5, and so on. Okay, so our first thing we're going to look at today is what we call perfect square trinomials. Okay? So there's two ways you're going to see this. It's either a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals a plus b times a plus b, or a plus b squared. And the other thing you'll see is a squared minus 2ab plus b squared equals a minus b times a minus b, or a minus b squared. Okay, so we're going to look at how can we find these factors using this formula. This formula here is a shortcut for us, okay, for these special cases. Okay, so let's look at example 1. Okay, this is an example of a perfect square trinomial. So it says factor 4x squared plus 12x plus 9. I'm going to zoom in here. Okay. So technique number 1 is just to use the box method. Okay. 4x squared goes in the upper left. 9 goes in the bottom right. They multiply to equal 36x squared. And then from here, you find the greatest common factor between 4x squared and 6x, which is 2x. The greatest common factor of 6x and 9 is 3. Then you could go down. The greatest common factor of 4x squared and 6x is 2x. And the greatest common factor of 6x and 9 is 3. And what you notice is you get 2x plus 3 squared, or you could write it out 2x plus 3 times 2x plus 3. Okay, so if you can use the box method, go ahead and use it. Okay, you can go through the steps and use the box method. Now, you could also use this shortcut right here. You can use this shortcut, okay? Now, how do I use this shortcut? Okay, this is technique number 2. Okay, quote IAC, identify, assume, check. Okay, so number 1, identify the polynomial as a possible perfect square trinomial. Okay, so you have to look. Does it have a squared? Does it have b squared? And does it have plus 2ab in the middle or minus 2ab in the middle? Okay. So you can assume it is and factor. And number 3, check to make sure the middle term matches up. Okay, so let's look at this example again. Okay, and then let me rewrite this right here. Okay, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals a plus b squared, just so we have it. Okay, so because the first term and last terms are both perfect squares, we assume it's a perfect square trinomial. What that means is I can take the square root of this and I can take the square root of this and it'll come out nicely. Okay? So if it is, the first term of the binomial factor will be the square root of 4x squared. So the square root of 4x squared is going to be 2x. Okay? And the square root of the last term, 9, is going to be 3. Okay? So, let's look here. The square root of a squared is a. Okay? So we have 4x squared plus 12x plus 9 equals. The square root of 4x squared is 2x. And the square root of 9 is 3. Okay? So we assume 2x plus 3 squared. We assume that this is our answer. Okay. Now, we look in the middle. 2ab. That's 2 times a times b. Okay. So, since 2x times 3 is 6x, and that times 2 is 12x, which is here, we know that this is true. Okay, so let me say that again. Okay. So, 2ab. 2 times a times b. So it's 2 times a times b. If you multiply all those together, we get 12x, which is in the middle. Okay. So we're making sure this works out. Okay. Let's do another example just to kind of see how things work. Okay. So example 2. Factor 16x squared minus 4x, 40x, plus 25. Okay. We can use the box method here, but we want to see if the shortcut works. Okay, so a squared. Now this one has a minus in the middle. Okay, so we have 16x squared minus 40x plus 25 equals, oh, here, let me turn this sideways. Sorry, this will make it easier for me. Okay? equals a minus b squared. Okay. All right, so what I need to do here is look at the first term, 16x squared. That's my a squared. Okay, can I take the square root of that? Yes, it's a perfect square. So the square root of 16x squared is 4x. The second part, b. Can I take the square root of 25? Yes, that's 5. Now, how do I know if this works? I have to check the middle. Okay, checking the middle, I use negative 2ab, or 2ab. Okay, so 2 times a times b. Okay, 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40x. Okay, the negative can either come from the negative 2, which would make this negative 40x. So this does match up. Okay, this is true. Okay, 4x minus 5 squared is our factored form. Okay, this is a little different. Okay, it takes some time to get used to. Try to use the formula here. If not, you can always go to box method. Okay, here, let me do one more with you, and then I'll let you try the next few. Okay, so how about I do this? Okay, I'll write it underneath. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared equals. Okay, so what's the factored? We're looking for the factored form. Okay, first thing, 9x squared. That is a perfect square. If I take the square root of that, the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x squared is x. Then I look here. The square root of 64 is 8. Now, I'm looking at, is this a solution? Is this the factored form? Well, in order to find out, I need to figure out, does the middle match up? Okay, so I take 2 times a times b. Two times 3 is 6. 6 times 8 is 48. And we have x. And yes, that does match up. Okay, so what that means, the factored form is 3x plus 8 squared. Okay, so try these 5 questions here. Okay, try using the rule. Okay, if you really are stuck, you can use the box method, but try using the rule. Okay, pause the video. I'll be back in 10 seconds. All right, so first one, square root of 25x squared is 5x. Square root of 9 is 3. Is this the factored form? Well, we look. 2 times a times b. And let's make this negative 2. Okay. So we get negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Negative 10 times 3 is negative 30x, which matches up. Next one. Square root of 49x squared is 7x. Square root of 1 is 1. Does this work? 2 times a times b. This matches up. So that works. Okay. Alright, next one. Square root of 4x squared is 2x. Square root of 169 is 13. Does this work? Check the middle. 2 times a times b. 2 times 2x is 4x. Times 13, 52x. That matches up. Okay, 2 more. Square root of 100x squared is 10x. Minus square root of 121 is 11. Does this work? Check the middle. 2 times a, negative 2 times a times b. That equals negative 220x. These match up. Okay. Last one. We look at the ends. The square root of 36x squared is 6x. The square root of 49 is 7. Does this work? 2 times 6 times 7. Sorry, 6x. That's 12x times 7, which equals 84x. Does this match up in the middle? No. Okay, so this right here is not a factored form. So we'd have to find another way to factor it. Okay, this way, this rule wouldn't work. It wouldn't apply, the perfect square trinomial. So we would have to go ahead and use box method or use another method to try to figure it out. Okay, and if box method doesn't work, there's other ways we can use. There's other means of factoring here. Okay, so I hope this helps. Hopefully it's not too confusing. Go ahead, continue to send me emails. Send me questions on Google Classroom. Ask me any questions you have. I'll be posting the assignment with this. Okay,